My hero, Michael Parenti, once said that a nation's leaders will always try to push their personal class interest as the national interest, even though there's rarely any real community of interest between what the rich want and what's good for everyone else. Colin Kaepernick is a perfect example. When reporters first noticed that Kaepernick was not standing for the national anthem, they asked him why, and he told them, "I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. To me, this is bigger than football, and it would be selfish on my part to look the other way. There are bodies in the street and people getting paid leave and getting away with murder." Kaepernick was taking an unambiguous and principled stand to protest police brutality and oppression against African American people. His intent was both clear and clearly explained. Over the course of the following year, a number of athletes followed Kaepernick's lead and took a knee in solidarity to support black victims of police violence. Now, remember, any dissent is potentially a threat to elite privilege and will not be tolerated. President Trump saw an opportunity to use Americans' patriotism as a bludgeon against dissent, saying at a speech, "Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, 'Get that son of a bitch off the field right now. Out. He's fired. He's fired.'" He went on to say in a follow-up tweet, "The issue of kneeling has nothing to do with race. It is about respect for our country, flag, and national anthem. NFL must respect this." Despite the fact that Kaepernick made clear from the very beginning that his protest was precisely about race, the president successfully transformed this display of nonviolent resistance into an attack on the country itself. Further, because of deliberate efforts to conflate the flag and the national anthem with the U.S. military, some people mistakenly believed that Kaepernick was insulting the troops. In Super Patriotism, Michael Parenti said, "If the test of patriotism comes only by reflexively falling into lockstep behind the leader whenever the flag is waved, then what we have is a formula for dictatorship, not democracy." True patriotism should never be equated with blind obedience. If we're all forced to stand and salute the flag when the anthem starts to play, then standing and saluting lose all meaning. If there is no choice, there is no freedom. Forcing people to stand and salute is the opposite of freedom. There's a strain of patriotic thought in this country that says, "America, love it or leave it." A variation on this is, "My country, right or wrong." Both ideas seem to suggest that American leaders and institutions can do no wrong and are above criticism. The notion that citizens should give unquestioning support to their government is patently undemocratic. In a democracy, government is supposed to reflect the will of the people. When leaders or institutions fail to reflect the public will, it is our duty to call them out and hold them to account. Democratic leaders must be accountable. Expressions of love it or leave it almost always come from people who agree with an unpopular position and want their will imposed on others. This kind of intolerance smacks of totalitarianism. The implicit message of this attitude is that the status quo does not need to change, that in fact everything is perfect, thank you very much. Is that how you feel? I'm reminded of a quote by Mark Twain, who said, "It is by the goodness of God that in our country we have those three unspeakably precious things: freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, and the prudence never to practice either." Patriotic displays like the national anthem are supposed to be a celebration of what makes this country great, and freedom and liberty always sit atop the list of things that make this country great. Freedom and liberty are supposedly what set us apart from other countries. We have the right to criticize our government, and others don't. This argument is less common today, but it was a dominant leitmotif during the Cold War. The ironic thing is that if a person like Colin Kaepernick uses the national anthem to voice dissent, the common reaction is that Kaepernick is unpatriotic and has therefore proven himself unworthy of the very freedom and liberty that we're supposed to be celebrating. As Michael Parenti said, the only thing to match the super patriot celebration of our freedom in the abstract is their intolerance toward anyone who actually puts that freedom into practice. Don't fall into this trap. Sometimes it takes a true patriot to stand up or kneel in brave defiance of the status quo. Colin Kaepernick acted with great courage, and his career suffered because of his principles. I admire the hell out of him. That's immense, brothers and sisters. As Americans, we usually celebrate bravery like that. I think it's time to form a brand new political organization, and we need brave people to do it. Like, follow, and consider subscribing to my free Substack. Let's make them pay.